I was crying tears of blood after seeing the henna on my hands when suddenly, a voice came from Aunt's room, saying, "You haven't changed your clothes yet. The wedding procession must be arriving soon." Hearing her words, I started pleading with Aunt, "I don't want to get married. Please don't do this injustice to me. I will die while I am still alive." Aunt came to me after hearing my cries, grabbed my mouth tightly and shouted, "Beware! If you do anything tonight or refuse to marry, I will throw you out of this house. You should be grateful that you are marrying into a wealthy family, but your tantrums just don't end. Now hurry up and get ready." She pushed me and left. I wiped my tears and started changing my clothes. As I put on the red bridal dress, I felt a strange sense of suffocation. A deep nervousness gripped me as if something terrible was about to happen. The uneasiness in my heart frightened me, and I rushed to the backside of the house. No one ever came here, which is why this place remained deserted all the time. I stood in front of my old house. I walked towards the old berry tree, sat down near its trunk, and took deep breaths. For the first time, I felt a little peace. Since childhood, I had been forbidden from coming to this deserted area because my family believed that some supernatural forces resided here. That's why I had never dared to come. But I always thought those stories were just figments of their imagination. I never believed in them. Sitting near the berry tree, I closed my eyes and started remembering my mother and father. If they were here today, neither would I have suffered so much nor would I have been forced into this marriage. I shut my eyes tightly. It had only been a moment when suddenly, a soft whisper brushed against my ear. "Ria, don't get married." My eyes snapped open, and I quickly looked around, but there was no one. The place was dark, making it difficult to see anything. My heart pounded as I nervously asked, "Who's there?" Fear crept over me. Who was this unknown person who knew my name and was warning me against the marriage? I heard footsteps behind me. Turning around, my eyes widened in shock. A tall man stood before me. His face was hidden in the darkness, but his towering presence was undeniable. I swallowed my fear and asked, "Who are you? How do you know me? And why are you telling me not to marry?" In a heavy, cold voice, he replied, "I cannot tell you who I am right now or why I am saying this. But know this, your life will be in danger after this marriage. I cannot bear to see you in trouble." His words shook me. "Who are you? And why do you care so much about me?" I asked, confused. "I don't even know you." He remained silent. I wanted to ask him more, but within moments, he vanished into the darkness. I looked around desperately, but he was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, I heard my aunt's shrill voice from inside the house. "What are you doing out there? Come inside immediately." With a heavy heart, I went back inside. There was no way out now. If I refused, Aunt would throw me out of the house. Either way, I would be forced into this marriage, whether I wanted it or not. The wedding took place, and I left with my husband, arriving at my in-laws' house. But as soon as I stepped inside, my mother-in-law coldly instructed, "From now on, you will stay in that old room." Their behavior unsettled me. They had conducted the wedding with grandeur and celebration, yet now they were treating me with strictness and indifference. The room they sent me to was old and lifeless. No decorations, no warmth, nothing. There was no joy on their faces either. It became clear that everything had been for show. In reality, they had no interest in a poor girl like me. But one question haunted me. Why had they chosen me for their son? Bilal, my husband, was nowhere to be seen. He hadn't even glanced at me since we arrived. Instead, he had locked himself in his mother's room, where the two of them were discussing something in hushed voices. Their secretive behaviors sent chills down my spine. There was something hidden, something they weren't telling me, and I was determined to find out what it was. I did not know what new turn my life had taken. Earlier, I was living a life full of discomfort, and now the behavior of my in-laws was just as strange. The words of the man who had strictly warned me against this marriage kept circling in my mind. Was he hinting at something terrible, or did he know something about my in-laws that I was unaware of? My name is Hariya. I am the only daughter of my parents. Being an only child, my mother and father cared for me deeply and fulfilled all my wishes. We lived in a joint family. My uncle and aunt also lived with us, but my uncle worked in the city, while my father worked as a caretaker in the village fields. Even in the village, my father earned a decent salary, while my uncle had a simple job in the city. He had no attachment to the village and did not like my aunt either. On the other hand, my parents lived together with immense love. My mother was a beautiful woman. God had blessed her with both beauty and good character. My aunt used to mock my mother because of this, and her jealousy was evident. She would take me upstairs and scold my mother over the smallest matters. My mother never said anything in return because she didn't want to spoil the atmosphere of the house. My aunt had no children of her own. When I was born, her jealousy grew even stronger. Time passed and I turned 18. By then, I was well aware of my aunt's nature. Whenever my mother was not around, my aunt would insult me over one pretext or another. But in front of my mother, she always acted innocent. Her hypocritical behavior made me feel terrible. Then one day, a disaster struck. My mother and father had gone to another village to visit a sick relative. On their way back, their car met with an accident, and they died on the spot. It felt as if my world had been completely destroyed. I had no one else in this world except them. For the first 2 days after their death, I remained in shock. On the third day, my aunt came to my room and said coldly, "Stop this drama. Get up and do some work. I don't want to see you resting in your room. Go to the kitchen and make breakfast for me." I was stunned by her words. She had not expressed a single word of grief over my parents' death. Now, with them gone, she had started showing her true colors. From that day onward, this became her routine. She forced me to do all the household chores. If I ever made a mistake, she would insult me harshly. Her jealousy toward me grew day by day. The only thing she ever truly loved was money. After my father's death, she took possession of all the savings he had kept for me. Meanwhile, she would only give me dry bread to eat. One day, some people came to our house. They looked rich and wealthy by their appearance. They lived some distance away from our village. One of the women from their family had recommended me to them. At first, my aunt refused. But when she realized that they were willing to give her a large sum of money in exchange for me, she immediately agreed. She sold me to them for 300,000 rupees. I folded my hands and begged her not to do this to me. I pleaded with her not to sell me to these people. I asked for her mercy, but she was so blinded by her greed for wealth that she did not care. She only wanted to become rich by any means. Despite my protests, I was forcibly married off and sent to live among strangers. As soon as I arrived at my in-laws' house, I sensed that something was off. Their behavior felt strange. I sat alone in my room late into the night, waiting for my husband. But instead of coming to me, he was locked in his mother's room, talking to her about something in hushed voices. Finally, I changed my clothes and got up to peek outside my room. My mother-in-law's room was at the far end of the hallway. I could hear their voices coming from there. I slowly took careful steps toward their room. My husband's voice was clear, but he was speaking in a language I did not understand. It was completely unfamiliar to me. I started wondering, what was this strange language? I was about to listen more closely when suddenly, I heard the sound of my own breath. She was saying, "Hey girl, what are you doing standing here? Do you have the guts to spy outside my room?" I quickly replied in fear, "No, mother, I just came after hearing Bilal's voice, and he has not come to the room yet." Hearing my words, my mother-in-law laughed sarcastically and said, "What do you think, girl? That my son married you by his own choice? Or that he was attracted to you because of your beautiful face?" I foolishly listened to my mother-in-law's words. She continued angrily, "My son is a prince. He has no shortage of girls, and you are not the last beautiful girl in the world. I married you into this house so I could get a maid for free. Keep this in mind, my son will never accept you, nor will he ever give you the status of a wife because you don't deserve it. Now go back to your room. And beware, if I ever see you bringing a man near your room, then..." I listened to my mother-in-law with wide eyes. I already knew that my status in my in-laws' house would not be worth even 2 pennies. Still, a small hope remained in my heart that maybe my husband would be kind to me and give me some importance. But after hearing this, I was shocked. Did this mean I would have to spend my whole life serving my mother-in-law? First, my aunt had put a mountain of oppression on me, and now I had to bear the bitter words of my mother-in-law for the rest of my life. I shook my head and returned to my room, pushing aside any hope I had left. Suddenly, my eyes fell on the open window in front of me. I felt as if someone was there, but as soon as I saw him, he moved away. I walked forward with fear to check, but when I found no one, I told myself that maybe it was just my imagination. I closed the window and lay down on the bed to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to my mother-in-law's shouting. She was standing over me, staring down. As I sat up, she said, "Don't think of yourself as a newlywed bride. Get up quickly and prepare breakfast. If you want to live in my house, you will have to obey my every command without any argument." I silently nodded in agreement and got up to prepare breakfast. My husband was talking to his brother. When I placed the breakfast in front of him, my mother-in-law said to me, "Whatever food is left over, you will have to eat it. You cannot cook separately for yourself." I agreed because, even before, my aunt used to give me dry bread. Here, at least I was getting leftover egg bread to eat. But while I was washing the utensils in the kitchen, I felt as if someone was watching me. I could feel the heat of someone's gaze. I looked around, and my eyes fell on my brother-in-law, who was staring at me with an intense look. I could clearly see the lust in his eyes. I quickly finished my work and went to my room. Over the next few days, I noticed that my brother-in-law's behavior was strange. I did not like his intentions toward me. His presence made me feel disgusted. One day, my mother-in-law sent me to sweep the courtyard outside. After throwing the dry broom in the dustbin, I turned to go inside. Suddenly, my brother-in-law caught my wrist and said, "Hey, sister-in-law, why are you in such a hurry to go inside? Spend some time with me too. You are always busy with work. Believe me, spending time with me will benefit you. Your heart will feel better, and so will mine." I was shocked at his words. Angrily, I said, "What nonsense are you talking about? Let go of my hand. I am your sister-in-law. How can you say such cheap things?" I tried hard to free myself, but he was a stubborn and shameless man. He had been waiting for a moment when I was alone so he could misbehave with me. I started crying helplessly because there was no one to hear my voice. The garden was far from the inner part of the house. No one inside could see me, nor could they hear my cries. He was about to come closer when suddenly, the watchman's voice called out, "Sir, Madam is calling you." Hearing the watchman's voice, my brother-in-law quickly let go of me and went inside. I looked at the watchman in surprise. He was nothing less than an angel for me at that moment. But something about his voice felt familiar. It was as if I had heard it before. I looked at him carefully. I was stunned to see his tall stature and blue eyes. He looked like a prince from some kingdom. Suddenly, the memories of my wedding night came rushing back. The voice of the man who had warned me not to get married, it was exactly the same as the watchman's. Was it him? Then I thought, how could this be possible? The watchman was already their employee, while I had seen that shadow near the berry tree of the house. The watchman, seeing me lost in thought, asked if I was all right. Had the younger master harmed me? I shook my head in denial and, thanking him, went inside. There was something unsettling about the watchman's eyes. It felt as if unusual secrets were hidden in them. As I entered the house and walked toward the kitchen, I heard my mother-in-law's angry voice coming from her room. I wondered who she was shouting at. Curiosity forced me to step closer and listen. She was scolding my brother-in-law, saying, "When I have told you to stay away from that girl, why are you always lingering around her?" I warned you clearly, no one should touch her until my purpose is fulfilled. I need a young, beautiful, untouched girl for my plan. And yet, you are ignoring my instructions. Once I gain all the power I need, then you can do whatever you want with her. I won't stop you. Do you understand or not? I covered my mouth with my hand to stop myself from gasping in shock. The ground beneath my feet felt like it had disappeared. So this was the reason she had brought me into her house? This was why my husband never looked at me, never respected me as his wife? I ran back to my room and started crying uncontrollably. What did my mother-in-law intend to do with me? What was this secretive plan for which she kept me as a maid, despite being married to me? It was no longer just a question of my dignity, it was a matter of my life. I couldn't sleep that night. Midnight had passed, and I was still awake, restless. Suddenly, I heard something fall outside in the courtyard. Fear gripped me. I wanted to check, but I was also afraid. What if my brother-in-law was outside? If he saw me alone at night, how would I protect myself? Still, I mustered courage and stepped out. A decorative vase was broken. I was shocked. Who could have done this? When I looked around, everyone in the house was fast asleep. I whispered to myself, who could have done this? But I knew what would happen in the morning. No matter what, my mother-in-law would blame me for this. And that's exactly what happened. The next morning, my mother-in-law created a scene. She shouted at me, "How dare you break such an expensive vase? I will punish you so severely that you won't even think of doing something like this again." Tears streamed down my face as I pleaded, "No, Mother, it wasn't me. I don't know how it broke. Believe me, I didn't do this." But she didn't listen. She slapped me hard across the face and grabbed my hair. "You wretched girl. You caused me a loss, and on top of that, you're lying. I know this was your doing. No one else in this house would dare to do something like this." She hit me repeatedly, until my entire body was bruised and covered in welts. I lay on the floor, moaning in pain, but no one in that house cared. No one felt even a shred of pity for me. After some time, my mother-in-law returned and scoffed, "Enough with this drama. Get up and do the household chores. No one here is your servant to tend to your wounds." With great difficulty, I got up and cleaned the house. Then, after cooking for everyone, I went to my room, my entire body aching. There was no one to help me, no one to care for me. I lay down, closing my eyes as silent tears slipped down my face. After some time, I suddenly felt something strange. Someone was pressing my feet gently. A soft touch ran over my legs. My entire body went cold. I wanted to open my eyes and see who it was, but I couldn't. No matter how hard I tried, my eyes wouldn't open. It felt as if some unseen force was preventing me. There was a strange power in this touch. Within moments, my pain faded away, disappearing completely. Who was this person? I didn't even know them, yet they had magically relieved my suffering. I had no one in this world to pity me or care for me. But in the darkness, someone had come to my aid. A while later, the unknown presence began applying some kind of ointment to my wounds. A cooling sensation spread over my skin, and my pain vanished completely. Sleep started to overtake me, and soon, I drifted into a deep slumber. The next morning, I woke up abruptly, panic gripping my heart. I looked around. The door was shut. The window was closed. Then how had someone entered my room last night? Was it just a dream? Or had someone truly been there? I examined my arms and legs. The wounds and bruises were gone. This wasn't an illusion. It had really happened. Someone had come to my room that night. I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts, and stepped outside. I saw my mother-in-law leaving with Bilal. Their expressions were serious. I was surprised. Where were they going so early in the morning? I had never seen my husband go to work before. Both of them stayed locked in their room all day. But today they looked worried. Curiosity took over. My brother-in-law wasn't home, so I decided to follow them. Wrapping my shawl tightly around me, I stepped outside. They were walking down a deserted road, one that led to the forest. A wave of unease washed over me. Why were they going there? No one ever traveled this path. It was believed that the forest was haunted. My heart pounded. I watched them disappear into the dense trees. I wanted to follow, but fear held me back. The forest filled me with an indescribable dread. Just as I turned to leave, I felt a presence behind me. A shadow moved. I spun around, but there was no one there. Feeling unsettled, I hurried back home. Just as I entered the house, the watchman stopped me. His blue eyes bore into mine as he said in a firm voice, "Don't go near that forest again. It is not safe for you to go there alone." I stared at him in shock. "How do you know I went toward the forest?" I asked. "I didn't tell anyone." The watchman, after listening to me, said, "I know everything about you, even why Madame and your husband went to the forest at this time, but I cannot tell you anything right now. I will just say that you should stay as far away from Madame as possible. She is planning something terrible for you." I asked him, "Are you with those people? If you know the truth, then why are you working for them? Leave this place." He replied, "For now, you need to be patient. I cannot tell you anything more than this." I went inside after hearing the watchman's words, but they kept echoing in my mind. Then suddenly, in the evening, the weather turned bad. All the family members locked themselves in their rooms. I suddenly remembered that I had put clothes on the rooftop to dry. If it started raining, they would get soaked again. I quickly gathered all the clothes from the line and placed them under the shelter. As I stood by the parapet, I looked down at the garden. Suddenly, my eyes caught a bat flying over my head. It started making loud noises as it hovered above me. My face turned pale with fear as more bats suddenly appeared out of nowhere, swarming around me and trying to scare me. I desperately tried to wave them away, but they circled me aggressively. Just then, a large stick was hurled at them, causing them to scatter and fall to the ground. I turned around abruptly and saw the watchman standing there. He asked, "Are you all right? Did anything happen to you?" I shook my head in denial and asked, "How did you get here? The main gate is locked at this hour." I found it extremely odd that the watchman had managed to enter the house. He was supposed to remain outside at the entrance all night. Before he could answer, I suddenly heard the sharp sound of someone breathing heavily. It was my mother-in-law. "Who are you talking to on the roof at this late hour?" she asked sternly. Seeing her there so suddenly, my face turned pale as a sheet. If she saw me with the watchman in the solitude of the night, she would assume the worst about me. She had already accused me of trying to seduce my brother-in-law, saying that since my husband did not give me the status of a wife, I was seeking attention from another man in the house. I had endured such false accusations in silence because I had no other choice. But now, if she saw me with the watchman, it would only reinforce her vile assumptions. My mind raced to come up with an excuse. She snapped, "Are you going to stand there all night? Or will you tell me what you were doing up here at this hour?" I turned around to point at the watchman, but to my shock, there was no sign of him. The stick he had thrown was also gone. How was this possible? He had been here just moments ago. Thinking quickly, I replied, "Madam, I came to take the clothes down. It's about to rain." She glared at me but then turned and went downstairs. I searched the entire rooftop, but I was completely alone. Shaken, I went back to my room, recited Ayatul Kursi, and lay down. My mind kept racing with questions. Who was that watchman, and what was really happening in this house? I needed help, but whom could I trust? The next morning, I told my mother-in-law, "Madam, we are out of groceries. I need to go to the market." She eyed me suspiciously before saying, "Fine, but come back quickly. If you delay, you'll regret it." I hurried out, but instead of going to the market, I went to see the spiritual healer in our village. Many people sought his help when they faced problems or misfortunes, as he was known to solve issues using Quranic verses. When I reached his shrine, there was a large crowd, and I had to wait for over an hour before my turn came. Finally, I sat in front of him and explained everything that had been happening to me. After listening intently, he said, "Daughter, based on what you've told me, your mother-in-law is not an ordinary woman. She is definitely involved in something unnatural, and she brought you into this house for a dangerous reason. You must find out her true intentions. Search her room, you will uncover something significant there. As for the watchman you mentioned, do not worry. He is not your enemy. He is the one protecting you." I was taken aback. "Do you know him? Who is he? What is his true identity?" The healer replied, "Daughter, first uncover the truth about your mother-in-law. She must be stopped, or your life will be in grave danger." Terrified, I nodded and left for home. Because of the long wait at the shrine, I was late returning. As soon as I entered the courtyard, I saw my mother-in-law pacing. She scowled at me. "Where have you been? You said you were going to the market, but you didn't bring anything back. You were gone for so long." Thinking quickly, I lied. "Madam, on the way, some dogs started chasing me. I had to take a different route to get away from them." She stared at me for a moment, then said, "Prepare dinner quickly. We have 10 extra guests tonight." I hesitated before asking, "Madam, are we expecting visitors?" Her expression darkened. "Who are you to ask me such questions? Just do as you're told. When you're done, lock yourself in your room. If I catch you sneaking out, you will regret it. Do you understand?" Fear gripped me as I nodded and hurried to prepare the feast. I had no idea who these mysterious guests were or why they were arriving so late at night. After setting the food on the table, I went to my room. I could hear noises outside but dared not look, fearing my mother-in-law's wrath. After a while, everything became silent. Curious, I cautiously opened my door just a crack and peeked outside. The courtyard was empty. There was no trace of the guests. I thought, where could they have gone? They couldn't have left so soon. Then my eyes fell on a door leading to a particular room in the house. I had never seen that door open before, but now it was unlocked. A chill ran down my spine as I realized that all of them had likely gone inside that mysterious room. I was surprised because once I had asked my wife about that basement, why it remained closed. She got angry at me and said, "Mind your own business. Who are you to question me? This designated room remains closed, and you are not allowed to go there at all." The words of that spiritual healer came to my mind when he had said, "You will have to keep an eye on your wife in any case. You must find out what she is doing." I stepped cautiously onto the stairs leading to the designated room and started going down. Strange noises were coming from inside. I pressed my ear to the wall to listen. A deep and terrifying voice spoke. "Madam, is the girl who is to be sacrificed in front of the devil a virgin and beautiful? If she is, the devil will be pleased and will grant us great dark powers forever." Upon hearing these words, my mother-in-law responded, "Yes, she is very beautiful. That is why I got my son Bilal married to her, because I knew he wouldn't even look at her. We need these dark powers at any cost. Don't worry, I have been doing this for many years. I have sacrificed many beautiful girls to this devil. This is just child's play for me. Bilal has already divorced her. Now, just 2 or 3 days from now is the Night of the Mouse. That will be the last day of that girl in this world, and I will attain immense wealth and power." As she said this, she began calling me Maikru, a term filled with hatred. It felt as if the sky had fallen upon me. I started trembling in fear. Hearing this from my mother-in-law's mouth, I realized she was no ordinary woman. She was a witch disguised as a human. She was obsessed only with power and wealth. She had no regard for human life. Before me, she had already taken the lives of many innocent girls. I was terrified. I had to leave that place. This house was a den of danger. If I stayed any longer, that cunning woman would tear me apart. I ran away from there and left the house. I wanted to escape as soon as possible before my mother-in-law could sacrifice me. There were still 3 days left until her ritual night. I had to reach the spiritual healer and tell him everything. But I had barely gotten some distance from the house when I heard the flapping of bats behind me. Their red eyes glowed as they stared at me. Terrified, I started running, but my foot hit a stone and I fell forward. Just then, someone caught me from behind, saving me from falling. A kind voice asked, "Are you okay, Huria?" I turned quickly and saw the same watchman standing there, holding me. I asked him, "Why are you following me? If my mother-in-law finds out, she will kill you too. I have discovered the whole truth about her." He replied, "I knew I couldn't leave you alone in any case. Come with me. That wretched woman's disciples must be following us." The watchman recited something and suddenly I felt weak and collapsed. I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I found myself in an old house. From the outside, it looked abandoned, but inside, it was warm and beautiful. An elderly woman sat there. As soon as she saw me, she hugged me lovingly. I was astonished. Who was she? I had never seen her before, nor had I ever met her. Then why was she showing me so much affection? Seeing my pale face, the elderly woman said, "Don't worry, my child. You are completely safe here. I am Ahmed's mother, and I know everything about you. I know how much pain you have endured for so many years." I looked at the watchman. His eyes were filled with respect and kindness toward me. I asked him, "How do you know my mother-in-law? And how do you know everything about me?" The old woman replied, "She is a deceitful and evil woman. She has caused great harm to our people. She wants to steal our powers, and she is willing to go to any extreme for them. Those bats were her spies, keeping watch over you. Whenever you left the house, they followed you. She even found out that you had gone to spiritual healer. I became extremely frightened." I told the old woman, "Then she must also know that I am here in your house. Because of me, both of you are in danger. I should leave from here." Then the watchman, Ahmed, reassured me, "Don't worry. I have killed those spies. This is my territory. There is a protective shield around this house. No one can cross it without my permission. You are completely safe here." The old woman told me, "Rest here, my child. Everything will be fine." It was already midnight. This house and its people were complete strangers to me. But despite that, I didn't feel afraid. The old woman treated me with such love that, for a moment, I felt like my own mother was in front of me again. I quickly fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up to find the old woman missing from the room. Panicked, I ran outside, only to see that the whole house was empty. Fear gripped me. Had they abandoned me? Had they left me alone here? What if my mother-in-law found me? How would I save myself? Various terrifying thoughts flooded my mind. I quickly came out of the house, but suddenly I started hearing whispers from the back of the house. I peeked a little and saw that the old woman and her son Ahmed were sitting right in front of me. They were talking to each other. She said, "Son, you need to complete your ritual quickly because her night is about to come. We have to stop the evil conspiracies of that cheap woman." Hearing this, Ahmed quickly replied, "Mother, you know I can only complete the ritual when my powers double, and that can only happen when I marry a human girl." The old woman, hearing this, said, "I will talk to Horia about this. I'm sure she'll agree to marry you. But when she finds out that you already love her and that you refused to marry her earlier, she won't refuse this time." I was shocked to hear all of this and my heart sank. It meant that Ahmed, the watchman who had been helping me, wasn't human, but rather a living creature with many powers. I started heading back inside when suddenly the old woman called out to me, "Ria, daughter, I know you've heard everything. There's no need to panic. You cannot be harmed by us. My son Ahmed has loved you since the night of your wedding when you were sitting near that berry tree, and he used to live under that tree. When he found out about your marriage, he warned you, but it was written in my fate that I had to reveal this whole truth." I felt somewhat relieved after hearing this. Then I asked her who she was and how she had gained so many powers. The old woman replied, "My son Ahmed is a jinn, and I am a jinn. If we are to stop that evil woman, my son must marry a human. This will increase his powers by thousands of times. Are you ready for this? I promise you, my son will always keep you happy. He will never let any harm come to you. He will treat you like a queen." I agreed after seeing the sincerity in the old woman's words and the truth in Ahmed's eyes. After a while, the jinn brought the spiritual healer who read our marriage contract, and I married the jinn. As soon as the marriage was done, Ahmed said, "We need to start the ritual tonight itself." He began chanting jinn mantras in a loud voice. He had lit a fire on some wood outside his house and was blowing something into it after reading the mantras, which made the fire grow more intense. The entire night was spent completing the ritual, and after that, we all breathed a sigh of relief because now that woman, along with her companions and disciples, had been reduced to ashes. Ahmed told me, "Now there is nothing to worry about because everything is fine. That woman can't harm you anymore." I told the jinn, "Thank you very much for helping me so much and giving me the chance to live in peace. You've taken me out of a world of chaos. I will always be grateful to you." She replied, "You don't need to thank me. I should be grateful to you for deciding to spend your whole life with me." Afterward, I moved to the jinn world with Ahmed and his old mother. There, Ahmed and I began living a happy married life. I thanked God a lot for ending all my trials. Now, there was happiness everywhere in my life. Although my marriage was to a jinn, he was a million times better than all the people in my world who marry a girl and make her life miserable. Now, I am living my life here peacefully,